figured this out.
Ready? All right. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If everybody could stand, move your hat. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I get everybody to remain standing, have a moment of silence for our former council member, Bob Hopperod, who served on this council for a long time. Bob was just, a fixture in county government, and he's going to be sorely missed. So if we can have a moment of silence to remember Bob and his family.
Up and down some authority over there.
Scared me.
Very
Do a
good.
roll call, Madam Auditor.
Councilmember Rivas.
Here.
Councilmember Bozick.
Here.
Councilmember Brickner.
Here.
Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Councilmember Jetson.
Here.
And Councilmember Sims.
Present.
6 present.
All right. Minutes. We've got approval of, a few minutes here, approval of council minutes for the 2022 budget, September 30th, 2021, October 5th, 2021, October 7th, 2021, October 25th, 2021, and December 7th, 2021. Regular council meeting and January 25th, regular council meeting, 2022. There's a motion on the floor to approve all.
Second.
Second, discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. First reading, Madam Auditor.
Notice is hereby given the taxpayers of Porter County, Indiana, that the proper legal officers of Porter County, Indiana, will meet in the Porter County Government Administration Building located at 155 Indiana Avenue, Valparaiso, Indiana, on February 22nd, 2022, at 5:30 p.m. to consider the following appropriation adjustments to county budgets for the year 2022 and to transact any further business which might come before council. General Fund, 1,000. Personnel Services, 154,828. Contractual Services, 10,000. Foundation Holding Fund, 4921. Personnel Services, 1,338,660. Clerk Perpetuation Fund, 1119. Personnel Services, 7,131. Clerk 4D, 8899. Personnel Services, $3,566. Lit Fund, 11112. Personnel Services, 3,000. Reassessment, 1188. Personnel Services, 3,566. E911 Fund, 1222. Personnel Services, 105,000. Health Fund, 1159. Personnel Services, 24,959. 59.075 ARP MOH SVOG 8910. Personnel Services, 10,697. Plan Commission, 1180. Personnel Services, 24,365. Stormwater, 1182. Personnel Services, 17,234. Cumulative Bridge, 1135. Personnel Services, 27,930. Prosecutor Pretrial, 2503. Personnel Services, 3,566. Surveyor Perpetuation, 1202. Personnel Services, 3,566. 21.027 ARP COVID, 8908. Personnel Services, 969,816. Airport Personnel Services, 42,786. Recycling and Waste Reduction Personnel Services, 25,333. Tourism Personnel Services, 17,828. Drug-Free Community, 1148. Distributions, 130,000. Public Safety Data Tech, 4907. Other Equipment, $250,000. 93.946. SUID SDY Grant, 8158. Other Equipment, 9,600. Westchester Library Rainy Day Fund, Other Services and Charges, $2,228,413. Taxpayers appearing at such a meeting shall have the right to be heard thereon. The appropriation adjustments is finally made. Will be referred to the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance. Where applicable, the DLGF will make a written determination as to the sufficiency of funds to support the appropriations made within 15 days of a receipt of a certified copy of the action taken, signed Vicky Urbanek, Auditor of Porter County, published February 10th, 2022 in the Chester Tribune. That concludes first reading.
Good job. Thank you. All right. If you guys don't mind, while we've got everybody here, I'd rather move this to the front, as long as you guys are okay with it. The Board of Elections and Registration presentation. This is the Porter County Vote Center plan. I'd rather this is kind of changing the way we're doing voting here in Porter County, so I'd rather do it while we have the most people here, instead of at the end of a 2.5-hour, 3-hour show, so, you guys are okay with that? And then,
Yeah.
Jessica, you wanna come on up with,
We got people that are being aware.
yeah, right.
Jessica, don't make it 2.5 hours.
We're shooting for 3.
And you're smiling as you say that.
Becky was bored.
We heard you guys were ordering pizza.
Um,
Safe for snacks.
So, go ahead.
You guys want the whole presentation? The PowerPoint? Or just go ahead, you're informed, it's up to you. We have our.
What do you guys want? You want the presentation?
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute.
Throw it up there.
The audience that haven't,
Oh, yeah, it'll be.
no, I was there 3 times.
It's about 15 minutes. Public info session.
Perfect.
Same thing that we showed at those. I don't know.
Mike, have you seen it yet?
Oh, I know.
I have. Yeah.
If they don't have it, we don't have to see the
No,
presentation.
then, we don't really need.
Greg.
They said they might not really.
They can go to the website too, Greg.
It is included in the plan that
They're all
was
thinking the same thing,
emailed
right?
to you
Okay,
guys.
I'm looking at, it's
So
a party
it
for
typically
me.
starts on like
Yes.
page 40, I think.
Yes, Madam Auditor.
I got it.
I need to make an amendment to first reading, and I think to make sure that we do everything properly, I'd like to read an additional section that I missed.
Absolutely.
In the long list of it. Okay, so we're going back to first reading. This is for 21.027 ARP COVID Fiscal Recovery Fund. Behavioral Health, 25,000, consultants, Market Trail, 3950 contractual, 2.5 million, and Township Assistance, 500,000 ARP assistance. And that concludes first reading.
Okay, thank you. Floor is yours.
Okay, so earlier in the month, I emailed you guys the link to the Porter County Vote Center plan. It's about 77 pages, so it didn't go through email. If anybody needs a copy, I have one. But basically, this will just align Porter County voting. So currently, during the 28 days before the election day, which is considered early voting or absentee in person, any voter in Porter County can go to any of the early voting sites and cast their vote. However, on election day, they are pigeonholed into the polling location that we have assigned them. So going to a vote center would allow them to go to any of the vote center locations, the same as during early voting. And by state code, we have to have a minimum of 1 vote center per 10,000 voters, so we'd need like 10.5 to 11. And instead, the Porter County Election Board chose to go with 44 vote centers, and that would, some of them have changed from what they typically would be to more accessible locations, all of them larger, better parking, ADA accessible, and so on. Do you have questions? We had 3 public input sessions during December and January. Quite a few different representatives from different areas of county government were included in the plan, and we've had some poll workers that were included, election board members, and then, of course, the general public and voters helped align the plan as well.
When you said the 77-page document, that's on your website?
Yes, it is on our website, and it was included in your packet.
Oh, no, I was just letting the public know.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they can go to the Porter County Clerk website, pull it from there, and
They
they
can
can
go to the
see that.
elections website, it's on our Facebook page.
Oh, it's on elections,
And
okay.
then we also had a public comment form on the website from the last election, or January's election board meeting to February's election board meeting. This plan was available for written comment.
And what step of the process are we on now? Is this, you come to us, we approve it, and it's a go?
Yes.
Or, so this is it?
This has
tonight?
already been approved unanimously from the election board and also the commissioners earlier today.
Thank you.
So, I have a question. You said you got 44, right?
Yes.
And what was it prior?
61 was the last one.
Okay.
And the polling locations that we're not using were ones that were more redundant, like on Campbell, where you have 4 polling locations
Yeah,
within a block radius.
I know right where
So
they're
it's
at.
not that we were cutting them down to cut down to a certain number, it was just getting rid of some of the redundancy and moving out of smaller locations where that
Mhm.
weren't exactly ADA accessible, all the way. We'd have to send ramps, and they'd have to take different entrances and such into bigger schools and, bigger churches and areas where there's more parking and more availability for people.
So anyone on election day can go to any one of the 44 voting locations?
Correct.
On your way to work, and you wanna hit up the one in Burns Harbor, go ahead.
And what stops people from voting twice? The computers are talking to each other, I mean, explain that
The
real quick.
exact same process as early voting. So in early voting, our e-poll books are connected to a MiFi device, and that is the only thing that is connected to it. And then it talks to the other e-poll books, and this is something that we've done in the county for years, so we're just gonna add one more day to it on a larger scale. But it's a process that we've been doing for years.
Yeah, the voting process is not changing, it's just allowing more access to the polling locations.
Well, it's nice too, because if you're going to work, something's close to your work, but you drive by it, you see a long line, you can just go to the next voting location if you need to do it on your lunch. I see the
If something happens
positives,
to a
too.
polling location, it gets flooded or something, someone can go to the next one.
Now, the public, are they gonna be sent cards saying you can
Yes.
go anywhere so that they're not confused or
Yes,
knock
we
on
have
the door?
to, by law, we have to send a letter to every voter in Porter County letting them know that the polling location has been updated. In addition to that, we'll do social media, we'll, reach out to print media, we're gonna reach out to e-newsletters, we are putting them in our, yeah, I actually have a copy, just like we did in 2020. We put things, in the tax bills, and tomorrow we will give permission to put it in the tax bill again, so we meet print deadline for the treasurer's office.
We're gonna do an email blast too, using the Memorial Opera House's, email list, as well as some of the other ones that we have. The Parks Department, they're gonna put stuff in their newsletter, the libraries, they're actually gonna put it in their newsletter. So we're gonna reach out to as many entities as we can to get them into as many newsletters. We talked about even reaching out to the schools to have it put into their, like, parent paragraphs.
When you guys sat through these meetings, and this might be a loaded question, but what kind of negative feedback did you hear? Did you hear anything negative? I mean, I haven't really talking to people, that's why I'm asking.
It wasn't necessarily negative feedback, it was confused feedback.
Okay.
Typically, vote centers have had a negative connotation to them, based on what's seen in the media or that you may read on the internet somewhere. So after we explained the way that Indiana does it, and more specifically the way that Porter County will be doing it, then that seemed to alleviate a lot of the concerns.
That was
A lot
at all
more
three of them.
positive.
And, yeah, unbelievably positive.
Good to hear.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think, am I right in saying that if you went with a minimum number based on the 10,000 active voters, you could get away with just 13?
We could, but,
Clearly
it
wouldn't
wouldn't-
want to do.
no.
A lot of angry citizens on that
Right.
one.
The election board would have no
I have
way
that at
approved
home.
that.
Yeah.
Electing to go from 13 to 44 is a pretty terrific opportunity in terms of increasing the number for the people to vote.
Absolutely.
One of the positives I heard too was that you guys now, all the machines will be programmed similarly, so if one station gets overrun or real busy, you guys could bring in extras, is that true?
Yes, so during early vote of 2020, we were very, on both primary and general, we could have used more machines at all of the early vote locations. However, they were already being programmed for election day, which was per precinct. So that means we couldn't just grab another machine and throw it in there, where now all of the machines will be programmed for with the data for the entire county. So just like they are currently for early vote. So if we need an extra one for early vote, we can do that. If we need an extra one on election day, we can do that.
So there's a savings in money for the county as well? There's less programming by the company?
Well, yes and no. Not for election day, but like in 2020 where we had a lot of polling locations at the last minute canceling on us. They weren't open for their own clientele, so there's no reason that they should be open for random people. So we had to recode those machines. So we won't have to recode with a change of any polling location any longer.
It eventually, like, over time may save money on some stuff, but we're not looking at it as a cost savings initiative. We're more looking at it as an ease of accessibility for the voters to make it more convenient, try and get our voter turnout. Our voter turnout on average is 33%, which is, to me, just disgusting. But, we really need to do something to increase our voter participation, and we're hoping that this will be something that may help.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Sorry to pick your brain.
No, we want that.
Yeah, exactly. What other questions? We also brought the big map if you need to see the polling locations on the big map.
I'll put that on the
Actually, this will
website.
give you
It's on the
more of
website.
those, more of those, I forget what they call them, where you check in you'll have more of those.
Yes, so, some counties have also seen a cost savings in the reduction of poll workers. That's not our goal. Again, I know this is the wrong body to say that, but if we save money, that's a bonus. But we plan on utilizing where we would have had some poll workers working at locations that are no longer available, repurposing them and putting them so we have extra clerks or extra judges to help the voters and make the process go
Sounds good.
quickly.
And the 44 locations will have more equipment at them now.
Right,
So it'll be able to handle the
if
higher
something
volume.
fails, you could,
Yep, and that's the nice thing too, if something were to, if one of the machines goes down while you're at the polling location,
Right.
move on to the next one.
Or if a location's having a low turnout, and then we have one that was busier than expected, we can.
yeah.
Just make sure you got enough stickers.
We have lots of stickers.
That's always one at a time.
There better be enough stickers. Hey, my kids never let me go.
I think you guys have done great work with this, and it ultimately is going to lead to greater accessibility for people to vote, which is the goal. And, you know, through the presentations that you made and through the study that you've done and with the program that you've come up with, I think it's a great victory. I think from now until Election Day, which isn't all that far away, now is going to be the most critical time, because it's going to be up to you to get that message out to the voters. Because it is changing the voting location
Absolutely.
for, I don't know how
And
many
we will
people.
have on Election Day, if a location was typically used as a polling location, we will have a sign on that saying,
Where they can
it's been
go.
relocated, choose any of these locations.
That'll be helpful.
We do have a nice QR code now that's going to be ready to go, so they'll be able to
Nice.
scan it and carry it on the phone.
What else?
What else you want?
No, I think we've been working towards this for a while, you know. As you've said, the equipment was a huge investment by this county moving forward, and you guys, the vote mobile, you know, things like
Now
that.
we're using it all to its full potential, too.
We've been investing, we want more people to vote, like you said, 33% is, we need 50, 60, 70%, that would be great. But this is what we've been working towards, continue to invest in democracy, right? Getting people to vote twice a year. Well, we give them a little more than that now, don't we? 28 days, how many days we give them to vote? 28 days of voting, so,
Well, by mail,
Or
by mail,
longer.
then longer,
yeah.
Whole month of February.
Anybody got anything else?
No, it sounds good.
So I think our role here is, and I did see somebody had a question, and I'll definitely open it up, you know, because this is a big deal here. But I think our role here is there's a resolution, if I see right, that we need to pass. So we can pass this. It's in your guys' packet somewhere. But
Did Harold review this? Good.
yeah, I think everything is good. So, but I will open it up to the floor if anybody's got any questions. Sir, I saw your hand up. If you want to come up, I think there's a microphone right here. Just state your name, address, and then ask your question.
There you go. Good.
Gary Brown, 203 Harrison's Alpha. It sounds like everything is linked, all the sites, correct?
All of
So,
the e-poll books are.
All the
linked.
poll books are the same at everybody. Everybody can access everywhere.
Mhm.
Because I know a lot of sites, a few in Portage and a few in Valpo. I was at one for my neighborhood at Northview School, and they were always swamped all the time. And this will get rid of that. You'll be at a bigger school or something, right?
Absolutely. Mhm.
Keep people out of the weather. That's the whole intention, right? To be out of the weather.
Yes.
Will each of those sites be able to tell you if they do get swamped, the next nearest place is X?
Yes.
Did I hear that through all this whole explanation?
Yes.
Because that, I wish they had that.
Yeah.
Because in one of those elections, I was working as a poll worker, and I was like, we're getting swamped, I don't know. And I go in there and go, we don't know where to send anybody.
Yeah, well, at that point in time, you couldn't send anybody anywhere else.
Right.
They
No,
had to stay there.
you couldn't, it wasn't
Now-
possible.
And now
Oh,
it
yeah.
should be within just a couple
Okay,
miles.
and are
to
you
its
getting,
voting.
are you getting a bigger place here? Because that little corner for
That's
early voting,
That's,
early
yeah, that's
voting.
early
That's
voting.
separate.
is that still early voting?
Yes, that's
That
only
little tiny
early
corner?
voting.
Because that gets swamped even at the earliest time. Because
We
I would
did
go to the
expand
earliest
early
time,
voting.
and it would be people out the door even then.
Yeah, so early voting and the vote centers are different conversations, but yes, in addition to moving towards vote centers this year, we did also increase the number of
Gonna have two
early
rooms
voting sites.
downstairs or something?
Just closer,
No,
option.
just additional locations in case there is a high volume, they can go to additional locations.
you
We
sent
don't get
too
to
many
pick
people
the
here.
size of the
Sent-
buildings that we're
Yeah,
in.
you sent too many people here.
They just like, I think
Yeah.
they're so used to coming here and not,
Exactly.
they don't realize that we have the other side.
Yes.
Actually, I would walk down the line and tell them, like, hey, Union Township is really close, so they send them over to
Yeah, so
Union.
where's the
Or
next
go to
nearest
Hebron.
place if this gets swamped again, if you're only using the tiny room? What's the next nearest place?
Another one in Valpo that
Yes,
has been
we
added.
added a second location on Evans in Valpo. So that would
That's
probably
not
be the
close to
closest.
this. They already drove down here. They're in a
Evans
hurry to
is
go to
like
work.
Not
Yeah,
even a mile
it's like a
north.
mile and a half away.
To which location?
This is more,
On
this
Evans?
is in regards to what we're
Where-
discussing.
What,
Where-
what is
Oh,
it?
it's the fire department training center.
This is more of
Fire
a,
training center.
but
Okay,
this
just
is
an
more in
example.
regards to early voting. We're discussing the new voting centers here. That's a
Right.
great
I
conversation.
know, but the early voting was.
But I think that's a conversation you need to have with the election
It's the
board on
same.
their,
It's
you
the
know,
same
their
thing.
time.
You've solved that. That's all I wanted.
Yes.
Because I've had personal experience. 3 elections in a row. This was messed up. My polling booth, which is the
And
most
tell the
important one in
commissioners to
Valpo,
give you a bigger
was also
room.
messed up.
We'd love to have a bigger room.
Yes, that's good. They were the highest voting areas early for both, yes.
Yes.
I thought they always did.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Questions? Before we take this last hurdle for all your hard work. All right, there's a resolution in front of you.
Make a motion to accept as it reads.
Second?
Motion is second to pass, resolution 2022, a resolution approving the designation of Porter County as a vote center county. Discussion?
Already did that.
We get a roll call, Madam Auditor.
Councilmember Bozick,
Yes.
Councilmember Brickner,
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes,
Councilmember Jessen,
Yes.
Councilmember Sims, Councilmember Sims,
Absolutely, yes.
and Councilmember Rivas,
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you. Good luck.
See ya.
Keep up the good work.
All right. Back to our normally scheduled program. Westchester Public Library. Westchester Public Library Rainy Day Fund. There's an additional in front of you for $2,228,413.
I'd make a motion to accept.
Westchester Public Library, other services and charges. A motion on the floor. The reason the additional appropriation needed for their savings and reserve rainy day fund to replace the entire HVAC, ductwork, ceiling tiles, and fluorescent lights at Thomas Branch main location.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
You doing LED
This will
lights?
be the easiest part of that project. Everything is 50 years old, and we desperately need to replace the HVAC, and it didn't make sense to not also replace the antiquated ceiling tiles, the lights, all of it at once, so it keeps blooming into a larger and larger project, but, well, not but, there you go.
Motion and second on the floor. Further discussion? Do a roll call on the additional.
Councilmember Brickner,
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
yes,
Councilmember Jessen,
Yes.
Councilmember Sims,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas,
Yes.
and Councilmember Bozick,
Aye.
6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, council members.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Thank you. Coroner, we got an additional too. It's like a grant fund, the sudden unexplained infant death and sudden death in the young, an additional $9,600 from other equipment, reason grant awarded by the, sudden unexplained infant death, sudden death in the youth. In the Indiana State Department of Health, purchase made out of this appropriation will be reimbursed by the Fatality Review and Prevention Division.
Make the motion to approve?
Yes.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion.
Actually, can I say something? It's supposed to say to that fund, not from the fund. Does that make sense?
To other equipment, $9,600
Yeah,
to other equipment.
So I just have a place to spend it out of, and then we'll get reimbursed.
Is that correct? From the motions agree with that language for $9,600? To. All right. We get a discussion?
I'd like to ask,
There you go.
how long is this grant good for? 3 years, 5 years, eternity?
It's until September, the end of September every year. The last 2 years, I've gotten $4,400 for this time period, and this time received 9,600.
Thank you.
So I have to spend it within that time frame.
What do you, just curious, what do you spend that money on? Is it too involved with the sudden infant deaths and stuff, or is it?
Anything that can, make our job better.
Okay, so it's not
Our
in regards
investigations.
to the actual sudden?
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
misunderstood what sudden was. It's my fault.
Any further discussion?
No, I made myself look like an ass.
Can we get a, roll call on the additional, Madam Auditor?
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Sims?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
And Councilmember Brickner.
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the grant. That's great.
Yes.
Development and Stormwater Management Plan Commission Fund. Looks like a Form 144 change up to $250 per meeting for the BZA hearing officer. Change from $150 to $250 per the BZA officer. This is just for the officer.
Why such a large increase?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second. Discussion.
Why such a large increase?
The hearing officer is quite busy. On this situation, he might have 6, 7 cases per meeting. He meets twice a month, and he drives to every single one of these sites and reviews them and studies them. It's more or less trying to up it to help with gas money to go to these sites for him, and also some of his time. He's also got a contracting business on the side, so it's to help him out. He does a great job for us.
Which is different than the BZA member.
It is totally
I'm
different.
totally confused, yeah. What's this guy?
Hearing officer, it's an expedited version of the BZA. BZA is very strict in the sense of how we have to go about and advertising it. By the time they get an application and a petition into us, it could be 35 days or later before they get in front of the board to hear this. Hearing officer, we sit there and say it's like no-brainer type cases that we're gonna get there quickly, so that way they're quickly, by the time they get the application, and they can be in front of the hearing officer within 2 weeks. And it's simple cases like a commercial and industrial site is required to have municipal services. Well, if they're in the middle of Morgan Township, there are no municipal services. Now, do we want this business to continue on? So they go out, look at it, see it, and we move it along.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Can we get a roll call on the Form 144?
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Sims?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Brickner?
Yes.
And Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Porter County Substance Abuse Drug-Free Communities Fund, there's an additional $130,000 to distributions. Reason, the grant funding the community agencies addressing substance abuse disorder. The money is from the court-assessed countermeasure fees. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We want to elaborate a little bit while we wait for a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion.
Now we can discuss.
Do you want me to comment?
Sure.
Okay, well, we come before you to ask for approval, as we do every year, for countermeasure fees, which will be distributed to the agencies that address substance use disorder in the county, whether it be prevention, treatment, recovery, or law enforcement.
Discussion, comments?
Sounds good.
Is it additional? Can we get a roll call, Madam Auditor?
Councilmember Sims?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Brickner?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
And Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Porter County Jail General Fund, a transfer, $35,000 from salaries to overtime. Reason, to cover the cost of overtime for jail officers working extra shifts and various overtime for COVID procedures that will be reimbursed through the ICJI COVID grants. You want me to keep going? There's an additional public safety data tech, $250,000 to other equipment. Reason, to cover the cost of equipment and installation for LPR, license plate reader cameras at various locations throughout the county. This technology helps when solving cases such as Amber Alerts, Silver Alerts, and drug trafficking. Another transfer, Sheriff Adult Community Corrections, $330 from salaries to hourly. Reason, to cover the cost of the first payroll for hourly salary case worker. There's 2 transfers and an additional.
Make the motion on the 2 transfers and the additional.
I'll second.
There's a motion on a second. Discussion.
Yes, I have one question. With the, community corrections, you have to cover the cost on the first payroll. Why is it named that way?
She switched to a full-time position after our first payroll.
Okay,
So that line item in that fund is currently showing negative, so we're just taking it out of salaries to cover it.
okay. So we're not gonna have to worry about where the second, okay, I was just
No,
wondering
ma'am.
how that was worded.
Yep,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Anything else? Discussion? So I know he can't be here, but I appreciate the sheriff and went down, he
Went down.
walked me through some things. Felt really comfortable about the discussion with the LPR. It was a really great presentation. It was. And even the protection, you know, of people's civil rights and everything. It was clear. Everything was very clear, the auditing of the program and everything. So it was great. You know, I think this is something that just made sense listening to, you know, the sheriff and his staff. You know, makes sense that we're moving in this direction. So, absolutely. You mentioned something about replacing some SWAT team, I think, helmets.
Yeah, so I missed the deadline for the meeting for when everything had to be turned in.
Okay.
So we'll be back next month.
I didn't mean to bring it up, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Oh, no, you want to bring it up?
Takes
up
having.
it, we're fine.
All right, there's a motion and a second, right? Any further discussion on the two transfers and the additional? Can we get a roll call on all three?
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Brickner?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes,
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
And Councilmember Sims.
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and see you next month.
Yep.
Yep. And every month probably.
Wait a second.
You know who I work for.
Indeed we do. Recycling and wastewater reduction. General fund additional, $3,400. To medical life, reason additional needed for cost of short-term disability paid by the employer for 2022.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion and second on the floor, discussion.
Gary, you just want to give us a little
Sure,
rundown on
absolutely.
what's going on?
Because the district is separate funds, our budget preparation goes before the board, before we have to submit it for budget time. So for the 2022 budget preparation period, we did not know that the health savings account nor the short-term disability was now going to be an employer-paid and employer-sponsored. In the past, it's been an employee-sponsored, so we just didn't budget for that. So now that we're in 2022, we just had to appropriately put that in under the employer-paid side of the budget.
That's for how, is that 2 employees, 3 employees?
So how it breaks down is it is $2,800 for 3 employees for the health savings account and $600 to cover for 6 full-time employees. The short-term disability, total of $3,400.
Any further discussion? The roll call on the additional?
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Brickner?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Sims?
Yes.
And Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
6-0.
All right, thank you.
Have a good evening.
All right. Adult probation. There's an additional here. General fund, $154,828 of salaries. The reason additional needs to support salaries previously funded using probation user fee. That addition is matched with a Form 144 changes. $50,009 to $86,227. Chief probation officer, $32,168 to $71,670. Assistant chief, $40,689 to $72,835. Probation officer supervisor, $33,972 to $61,063. Probation officer supervisor, $47,197 to $41,879. Probation supervisor vacant, $29,842 to $35,160. Probation officer vacant, $15,166 to $37,013. Administrative, $15,166 to $40,755. Administrative, $15,918 to $36,718. Secretary. Reason, salary change of $3,193. Needed to support salaries previously funded using probation user fee fund. I really think I need glasses. Getting there.
Can you read the reductions, too?
Well, you want me to keep going? I mean, that's next. We're gonna have, if this one goes, we'll have to reduce. So, can you give my eyes a break?
I would make a motion to accept, get the conversation started.
For the additional and the 144 changes?
Yes.
There's a motion and a second on the floor for the additional $154,828 and the Form 144 changes that I stated. Discussion.
My first question, what are we doing with the vacant positions? What's the plan there?
Our plan is to fill those positions. We've been waiting to get this taken care of first before we filled those positions.
Oh, why?
Do you have some people waiting? I mean.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We've interviewed, we're ready to roll with that, but I just wanted to make sure that the salaries were available.
We'd have to pay you guys. I mean, you can't shut down adult probation. Judge would kill us.
Well, I think the community might be upset as
Well,
well.
yeah. So those are positions that are still needed, I guess, is the question.
Yes, very much so.
So to be clear, this isn't increase in anybody's salary. It's just a matter of where the money's coming from. So maybe talk a little bit about what's happened to the probation user fee fund.
Sure. So we've seen this coming now for a couple years. What has happened historically is when it comes time for probation officer salaries, the yearly salaries that employees get, we've been asked to pay those salaries out of probation user fee funds as opposed to the general fund. So we've been covering those costs for numerous years. What we've now seen happen is that the expense that's been pulled from our accounts is now exceeding the revenue that's coming in. So the surplus that we did have has been slowly dwindling away, but we've been watching it dwindle away, and we're now at a point where those user fee funds are depleted, which is why now it's necessary to come back before the council and ask that the rest of those salaries be pulled from the general fund, because those user fee funds are no longer available.
Can we pull that up, Vicki, by chance? The fund?
The PUF fund, the probation user fee fund? Okay. 2101, yes.
And that's why you're only asking to move some of them out of there, because it can sustain some
That's correct.
salaries?
So how are the user fees generated, and are you anticipating this fund to be built back up?
Well, that remains to be seen. So user fees are fees that are paid by persons that are on supervision within our department, be it probation or pretrial. So when someone is convicted of an offense and put on probation, they are ordered to pay probation user fees to cover some of the cost of the services that we're providing to them. The same thing happens on the pretrial side. If somebody is placed on pretrial and meets the statutory requirement, they are ordered to pay pretrial supervision fees. So those are fees that are generated from users, from the people that we're providing that service to. Our goal with this movement is just to sustain what's in our user fee fund for the remainder of the year. We will continue to have revenue coming into those accounts, or that account, and we believe, based on averages from previous years, that with the amount of money we anticipate coming in, this is the move that we will need to get us through the end of the year.
Why the decrease? Why, I mean, what's changed in the process, or what's changed in the courts possibly that the fees are going down?
Less bad people.
I mean, I guess I understand why they're going up, right? The state keeps mandating that
I can speak to one of the issues. One of the issues is that we have instituted pretrial release. So that is something, you can't hear me? I'm gonna karaoke with this thing.
There you go.
Okay, so one of the things that's happened is that we have started a pretrial release program this in January of 2020. The Supreme Court started, well, we started it earlier as a pilot program, but what that means is that we have people that we're putting on pretrial release that we could be grabbing funds from, except that we have to share those expenses with some of the funds that we collect with public defenders. So the amount of fees that we're even getting from having that aspect is being divided up between two entities. As far as probation, as far as the use of those pretrial user fees, can you speak to that?
So So I can tell you, looking at numbers, the number of people that, during the years that we've seen this deficit, the number of people that have been on probation has been smaller. The number of people that have been on pretrial release has increased. So the amount of money that we're able to collect, going back to what Judge was just describing to you, decreases, because even though we have more people on pretrial release, we are required by statute to split any funds that are brought in by that population with the public defender's office. So we still are having a similar number of people, but the amount of fees that we can collect from those individuals is cut in half.
And here's the other thing on pretrial release that is a little different, is that if a person does not have a prior conviction coming into this particular case, we're not even allowed to assess fees at all. So, I mean, there are people that we're putting on pretrial that we believe, for the safety of the community or themselves, need supervision, but we're not even able to assess fees because of the statute.
Do you handle pretrial too? Is that,
Yes.
okay, because
That
I was
is
just.
handled through our department as well, correct.
And is the public defender making more money now? Can we take some of theirs and move it to you?
I can't attest to that.
I'm sorry, you have to speak up.
No. Mr. Elwood.
So they're using that for salaries.
So, all right, I mean,
And I think we made that move. We pushed them to use this fund for salaries years ago, right?
yes, this is something we've done. We've historically have
The
pushed.
fund got
yeah.
big and, yeah.
Right.
So we knew this was gonna happen. This isn't a surprise. I guess it's more of a surprise that it happened sooner than later. We thought it'd be a little later, but, we're gonna have to react. We gotta do something.
And we have to still plan, because it's not like it's gonna ever build up to be this big pool of money again. It is what it is now, and we're gonna have to kind of regroup and adjust accordingly from this point forward. And it's not fun, but it is what it is, like we said. We're just doing the best that we can with trying to collect what we can.
Yeah, may I ask, have you always shared, as the law always said that you have to share with the, public defenders?
So that's only for pretrial fees, not for
Oh, okay.
probation fees.
So nobody's getting rich on that, because you said they're going down. You're not even allowed to use,
For pretrial.
for pretrial.
If they don't have a
not
conviction, we can't even charge them as much as we would like to help fund the program, because it takes a lot of work, and it's a lot of supervision, a lot of work. So, but, these people are innocent until proven guilty, and they get to go out and carry on with their lives with some supervision, and so it's a good cause, but it's a lot of work.
Seems like a great program.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So we should anticipate this for the upcoming budget from this point forward, most
Correct.
likely?
Correct. There's always potential that we can see an influx of money come in, and if that's the case, then obviously we'll adjust accordingly.
Okay.
But we have to plan for what's in front of us right now.
Okay.
I don't know whoever told you to let us run to dry.
And I won't tell you who told me that.
But here we are, a little sooner than anticipated, and you guys, this is something, that we've kind of traditionally done in the county. If we can move salaries into other,
Large fund.
fee-based funds, we do. And this isn't the only one out there. There are a few others. I know, talking to the auditor, one she mentioned that our prosecutor has kind of, been bringing it up a little bit, so we should probably, have that conversation sooner than later, so we don't get hit with, something like this all of a sudden again, but
Hopefully after we do the wage study.
it,
Like that after.
it is what it is. This is why, this council, over the years, along with the auditor, we're a conservative, council, we're, fiscally responsible. And we can absorb something like this. It's not something we enjoy doing in February, taking a hit like this. So this means that any other department head, do not come in front of us for an additional this year. Because Melanie took it all.
Oh.
You see Melanie if you need money.
It's coming in my bank
Look at
account.
Lori back there, I'm gonna come see you.
Well, the good news is that we have the money. We've been conservative, we've got the money for it, and, that's one thing, very good.
Yes, we're in good shape. I mean, but, yeah, we would've been better to slow roll this, but here we are, and there's a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion on the additional and the 144? Hearing none, can we get a roll call on those?
Councilmember Brickner,
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen,
Yes.
Councilmember Sims,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas,
Yes.
and Councilmember Bozick,
Yes.
6-0.
All right, so the other part of that will be the reduction, so the adult probation user fee fund.
Make a motion to accept the reductions.
There's a motion and a second on the floor for the 144 reductions that take all those same amounts that were increased by 2-0.
Second.
There's a second. Do you want me to read them off, or
No,
you
that's
good?
why we cut you off.
I could read them off. I might
No,
need
it's
the
on the
judge's
paper.
glasses, but this is decreased salaries of $264,635. Fund no longer able to support salaries, move to probation general fund. Discussion? Roll call on the reduction. And for the 144s, yes, Tony? Yes, correct.
no actual appropriation reduction here.
Right, and we'll have to do that though, correct?
Just clean it up later.
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen,
Yes.
Councilmember Sims,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas,
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick,
Yes.
and Councilmember Brickner,
Yes.
So,
6-0.
to clean it up, to your guys' point, Melanie, need to submit that reduction so we can advertise it? Is that,
Yeah, at some point you have to submit the reduction. I think part of the concern was when are you going to move everybody over, get everything all taken care of, but then we're going to move to the general fund. We want to make sure we didn't have too short of a salary line item to cover for people who, that still does, because you don't want that money to be transferred someplace.
okay, so you'll work together to finalize this? And you can tell that person who told you to wait, we got it. So, so I think that's it. Anybody got anything else? Melanie, Judge?
Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Yeah.
Thank you,
very much.
Council.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Get some sleep.
It wasn't me, right? I didn't tell you to wait.
Nice thing.
I know.
Person's no longer here. Parks and Recreation. Parks and Recreation General Fund, there's a 144, this is, a change of $59,474,000 to $75,000 as Park Superintendent. The reason the $15,526 increase to Park Superintendent salary effective date to be determined upon appointment, hiring of a new Park Superintendent. So, this is just, as they've advertised, as we replace the Park Superintendent, just to get it up to $75,000. I don't know if they'll, offer it. It was, so, but it just puts us there in case that they find the appropriate person to offer the $75,000. Mike, have you discussed when, exactly when those?
Yeah, they have initial interviews starting on Thursday. They've narrowed it down to five candidates to pursue in the interview process. 3 will be on Thursday, and then 2 will be on Monday. So a total of 5 that they're looking at, and from there they'll likely narrow it down to 2 or 3, and then bring them in for personal interviews.
Are you gonna be in those?
I am.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you. So, there's a 144 in front of you. Is there a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion to accept.
And I'll second.
Motion and a second, discussion? Hearing none, can we get a roll call on the 144 change?
Councilmember Jessen,
Yes.
Councilmember Sims,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas,
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick,
Yes.
Councilmember Brickner,
Yes.
and Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
6-0.
Motion carries, so it,
And councilmembers, just as a reminder, at some point later on, there'll probably have to be a transfer, or an additional, but hopefully a transfer to cover this added cost.
We'll do it as a transfer.
Let's
Perfect.
push for transfer.
I like your staff.
all right. Council. Council General Fund, there's additional $10,000 to contractual services. The reason the Baker Tilly Consulting Services, professional services rendered from budget support services. Andy, I think this is where you have to answer questions.
Oh, I got the answers.
Oh.
Move to approve.
There's a motion.
Move it.
The motion on the floor to pay for the additional. This is just
Second.
finishing up from last year. Second.
Just the final bill. Everything's in here.
Yes.
We're done with that.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? Can we get a roll call on the additional?
Councilmember Sims,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick.
Yes.
Councilmember Brickner.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
And Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
6-0.
All right. Employee stipends. So, you guys, you want me to fly through this? I can.
So we just wanna make a motion, or?
There's, I can go through every account their foundation holding, that's the $982,500. There's $126,000 for hourly full-time. There's $93,408 to FICA, $136,752 to PERF. There's clerk perpetuation fund, additional $6,000 to salaries, $459 to FICA, $672 to PERF. Clerk 4D fund, additional $3,000 salaries. You guys are brutal. $237 to FICA, $336 to PERF.
I'll make a motion to accept the employee stipends as laid out in front of us.
There's a motion on the floor.
You're such a jerk.
Second?
There's a second on the floor. Goes through all these, the lit, the reassessment fund, these are all additionals. E911 fund, health fund, Memorial Opera House, Plan Commission, Stormwater Development, Community Bridge Fund, Prosecutor Pretrial Diversion, Surveyor Perpetuation, Airport Fund, Recycling and Waste, Indiana Dunes Tourism. This is what we did in lieu of the raises last year. We gave them $3,000 stipends. So there's a motion on the floor to approve that, and a second. Discussion. And this motion comes off of the motion to approve the salary ordinance last year. It reads right off of that, the motion that we approved.
Correct.
Further discussion?
Discussion on the airport fund.
Can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick.
Yes.
Councilmember Brickner.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
And Councilmember Sims.
I don't know, dude.
I know.
It's a mouse, right? Oh, that is it.
Sure?
No, this is the ARPA, that's next.
Yes, then. I had a question.
6-0.
All right. The other part of that is the ARP COVID fiscal recovery. We have premium pay on that, and then, we've got the other ones, premium pay, behavioral study, Marquette Trail, Township Assistance. I think Commissioner Blaney, do you wanna, come on up?
Did we vote on the ARPA?
We're doing that right now.
That's this part, okay.
Yes.
He had a question, that's what I'm asking. Hello, Commissioner.
All right, so this is the ARP. This is the first time that we're appropriating any dollars. And this was, Commissioner Blaney, this was approved, what we have on our agenda. These 4 items were approved today at
Yep.
the Commissioners meeting.
We
Part of-
discussed stormwater, but we didn't vote on it with that.
So this is this is what's been finalized. So there's 4 items, first 4 items that were, what was approved today on the plan.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
There's a motion, a second on the premium pay at $969,816. These are additionals. The additional behavioral study, $25,000. That goes to consultants. The Marquette Trail, the additional $2,500,000, and the township assistance, an additional of $500,000, $500,000. Motion and a second on the floor. Further discussion? We get a roll call on that.
Councilmember Bozick.
Yes.
Councilmember Brickner.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
Councilmember Sims.
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
6-0.
So we'll just,
What's with the committees?
we'll just stay on that path, yeah. So Commissioner Blaney, can you also today, so that, we've received $33 million, the county. This has been a process that's been going on now. The money came in June, July. We've had some starts and stops, public hearings, receiving input online. We've both had public input, and now we're even improving. We're gonna, we continue to improve the process. So we're creating some committees out there. So we have that in front of us. So can you just kind of, maybe lay out real fast what you guys did?
Does that help?
Basketball.
Yes, sorry.
2 after
I
that.
appreciate it, yeah, that you had to.
No, that's fine. So the central committee would have 2 of you guys, and we're hoping you can make these appointments maybe tonight even. Myself, Vicky will be the facilitator that we had previously discussed Stu Summers for. So she'll still be there to advise us. Her role has expanded. Fortunately, she said yes. And the county attorney will be a non-voting advisor.
And what's a central committee? Can you kind of tell us what that's going to do?
That's just the one that's gonna kind of oversee the other four, and when everything comes in, that'll be the place it goes, and then they'll make the final recommendation. Behavioral Health and Social Services Committee will have one commissioner, that was Commissioner Biggs, 2 council members, 2 citizens, and while we're talking about the citizens, we started taking applications sometime within the last week online, and we plan to take them until March 8th, and then hopefully, is your meeting the 15th or the 22nd?
I put that on my notes to discuss. Our meeting is scheduled for, I think it's the week after the,
Didn't know if you were changing it
yeah,
because of spring break.
22nd. I gotta discuss with
Okay.
fellow council
Well, anyway,
members,
we're
so-
meeting on the 15th,
Meet on
so
the
that's when
15th.
we're hoping to appoint the citizen members.
Okay.
So the council's appointing these citizen members, or you guys are? How's that working?
One from commissioners and one from council
nice,
for
okay.
each committee.
Thank you.
And then we have the Portage and Center Township trustees as non-voting advisors. And we also decided to include a couple of trustees from the more rural townships. Commissioner Biggs was going to talk to a few of them and see who might be interested in sitting there. We've got nonprofits and employers. Commissioner Biggs is also sitting on that one. And we'd like 2 council members, 2 citizens, and then a nonprofit expert, which is still to be determined. Infrastructure and facilities, Commissioner Good, 2 council members, 2 citizens, 1 from each board. Our engineer, Mike Novotny, and our facilities director, Ray Cloyd, would be the non-voting advisors on that board. And then the county government COVID health response, I'll sit on that one with 2 council members, 2 citizens, 1 from each board, and a health department representative, and our HR director, Rhonda Young, as the non-voting advisors. We were hoping, we'd like to require that each committee have at least 1 meeting in the evening or on a weekend, during which they take public input. They can have more, depending on, the groups will get together and figure out a schedule, but we need to have at least 1. And that's about it. The meetings will all be public, they'll all be videotaped.
One of the things that I had heard was some of these entities that are going to be asking for money, and maybe it was at a commissioners meeting I heard this, that we would like to see them bring a match. So if we're going to give out money, bring in a match. Has there been any discussion?
That's the kind of thing I think we will
In each committee will decide?
nail down as we go.
Okay.
I think we talked about having a match. We talked about, being in Porter County. There's a number of things we went through,
Okay.
but we didn't discuss that today.
It's not nailed down.
Yeah. So we'd like to get these committees populated and meeting by the end of March, early April, and then they'll have April and May. So we should definitely have that kind of thing
So these
figured out
committees,
before committees meet. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, bless you.
like a nonprofit and employers, that committee will refer their request to the central committee, right?
Right.
Is that how it works? And then the central committee would approve it, and then it would go to the commissioners and council at that point? Thank you.
So in online, and I talked to Joy and working with Kurt, he's kind of updating everything, and then just so we kind of, I know it's duplicating, but our website will have a link to the same thing. So if they go to our page, it'll link it right to what Kurt's doing. So, because we're going to grab from the same pool of citizens appointments. So, they'll give us a list, and you're taking that till March 8th,
Mhm.
and then we'll have to figure out after that where we want to plug the citizens in. This body will have, an appointment to each. So, we've also got to appoint ourselves, to this, and I obviously would recommend, the central committee, just starting there, that it would only make sense that myself and the vice president, sit on the central committee, as the leadership of the council, and then from there, we kind of hash it down.
Well, just as long as both of you are not on another committee the same, because then that would be.
Together?
Yeah, that would be unfavorable. I mean, that would be leaning too heavy to.
To me and him being together?
On another committee.
Yeah. I didn't like him anyways, so one enough.
You called him leadership.
Whatever.
So yeah, if we can get through this, and then, I think it's just, I commend you, Commissioner Blaney, the commissioners. This was something new, $33 million here. We've kind of moved forward. The public's had some input. We've heard them, you've heard them. We've just improved the process the whole time.
Yep.
By listening, by, everything. So, I thank everybody for their input in the public. I thank you guys for your leadership. Here we are.
It's been interesting. When we approved the $20 million stormwater project for South Haven, which is a similar amount of money from what this started to, there was not a single person in the room. I mean, we were all ready to explain the project and do the presentation. I mean, nobody. I have a picture on my phone. So I'm glad people are involved and excited this time and being part of it.
Good. With that, I think, we did approve, because in the process, again, was started because we knew during budget session to be fiscally responsible, as we always are. We were looking at some pressure on the general fund, so, it was, in lieu of raises, you guys approved the premium pay. We found some other money to, everybody else got the stipends. So, that was kind of what got us going forward, so that you guys could approve that, and then some other things were thrown in there, but that was approved tonight, just almost $4 million, which leaves us with $29 million still, that these committees will discuss, the subcommittees, the central committee, back to the commissioners, and finally the last step will always be for this $20 million for the council to also allocate those funds. So there's some great opportunities out there, and again, I know I've said it before at the Opera House, that we're not the only ones in this county with money. So, it's, not entirely, sure, what the other communities are doing. I know, I believe at this point in time, we're the most transparent, and, we're backstepping, we're making things better and better. So,
Speaking of that, Kurt will get this committee structure and the appointments and all of the guidelines. It'll all be online, we're hoping by Friday. And then we'll have links for you guys.
Excellent.
Commissioner Blaney, was there a decision made on people for the citizens' appointments? Were there not, if they have a specific ask, or if they'd submitted a request, that they would not be eligible for the?
Yeah, we did ask that. I think it says that on the application.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So, if you guys want to, run down this list, while we got Commissioner Blaney in front of us. You've got the Central Committee, 2 council members. You've got the Behavioral Health and Social Services Committee. Again, so there's 2 council members on each of them. So, we're all going to sit on 2 committees at least. So.
Are we deciding this tonight, or can we email?
I'd rather us decide publicly. Yeah.
Email you and let you know.
However you want to do it.
Yeah, if you don't mind. I mean, I suppose if there's an adjustments, we can, but maybe just if we can get it out there where we're at, to help formulate, because you guys decided, you said, right? I'm sorry, Commissioner Blaney.
Today.
Who's on the Central Committee for you guys?
Me. And Jim is Behavioral Health and Social Services, Nonprofits and Employers.
Biggs also?
That's Commissioner Biggs. Commissioner Good is Infrastructures and Facilities, and I am the Health Response.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So, I mean, if you guys don't mind, like I said,
I'd like to be on the Central Committee, I'll be honest. That's interesting to me. Shake things up a little.
Wow.
I wouldn't mind. Well, I thought that you two were going to
It would make
But we haven't
sense.
decided as a board, that's just what Jeremy suggested.
I would acquiesce, and if the decision is Andy would like to do that, I would have no problem with that.
So, I mean, I would like to be on that committee too, if you guys don't mind. I guess me and Andy, is that all right with you guys? Andy and I? My daughter would throw something at me if I said me and Andy. So,
That's actually right.
is it right? So you throw something at me then, huh?
Well,
I don't, so, yes, yes.
no, you're right. I was trying to think if we could have one Republican, one Democrat, maybe if it'll work out.
Well, does it really matter? I mean, it's all open and
No,
public and
you're exactly right.
it's all about
That's
doing the
why
right thing
I-
anyway.
That's why I thought,
Right,
I
for the
got
right reason.
Well,
my bad, I should not say that.
Andy is a Republican, I know he doesn't.
You're right.
I got nothing but a giggle on that one.
And again, Mike calls me a Republican all the time too, so it's.
Shoe
Oh,
fits.
it's
So, all right,
So we are deciding, we're gonna decide
yes,
tonight?
if you don't mind, yes.
And
I'll-
behavioral health, since I do a lot of work with
um,
with that, I would like to,
Which one?
behavioral health, we're just going down the list.
Are we?
Well, that's the best way to do it.
Actually, Mike, if you want something, jump in there.
Yeah, say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I'm going to put myself on the nonprofits and the infrastructure.
I'd like to be on infrastructure as well.
I'd like to be on nonprofits
Okay,
too.
hold on, oh.
Let's hold on.
So, hold on, okay,
Who says?
Yeah, you're going
Sims.
fast.
you said you would like behavioral health.
Behavioral, yep.
Services,
Mm-hmm.
Mike Brickner, you said, nonprofits,
And infrastructure, right, Mike?
structure.
Mike, infrastructure and nonprofits?
Maybe I'll go to nonprofits with you, Mike, is that all right?
Sims was asking.
Oh, did you? I thought he said, behavioral health, I'm sorry.
Both,
Both, Sims.
if possible.
Mike, did you say something?
Infrastructure.
Jessen? All right, so what do I got? Sylvia, what's going on here?
I'm just sitting here listening to you guys.
Pick something.
Well, obviously, as the nurse of the group, as the nurse, Sylvia, I mean, it would make
Well,
sense.
what's open?
The government.
What's left?
Well,
Well, I mean, nothing's locked in, Sylvia.
yeah,
We're just discussing.
so, shoot, Sylvia, fire at
No,
us.
I'm not, well, really, I'm serious, what is left?
Well, I mean,
Health response.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
right up your alley there, so,
Yep, that's great.
It's the behavior health studies and social studies.
Jessen, you going on the health response with Sylvia? Really, that puts two on each, right?
Mm-hmm.
No.
No, we
We
need one.
only have one left, or behavioral, there's only one so
Social
far.
ser, I'll go up there with you then, Sims, is that all right? Well, Sylvia, you gotta go in a second, why don't you go up there, Sylvia, social services, behavioral health?
Yes, that sounds good.
Would you
Sylvia?
mind just recapping them real quick?
Yeah, I mean, we can switch, you guys, if there's something,
No, I liked what I heard.
Mike,
All right.
are you with me on the, committee?
If
Oh,
no
there's
one else
help.
jumped in, I think I
The
am.
help, okay.
I had Brickner, okay, so, what I heard, Central Committee was Rivas and Bozick,
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Behavioral Health and Social Services was, Sims and Graham,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Nonprofits and Employers was Brickner and Sims,
yes,
Mm-hmm.
Infrastructure and Facilities was Brickner and Jessen,
yes.
and, the County Government Health Response was, Graham and Jessen.
Yeah, that looks good.
All right, so, it's like, who only got, yeah, you and I only got one, we got away with that.
Oh, you got one too, hey.
No, he's got two.
Oh, no, you guys booted me off anything else I asked for,
Oh,
so.
wow.
All right.
No, I think
Wait,
that, but
you
we're
want-
on the central committee,
No,
so
I'm
we will be
serious.
involved with
That
all of it.
I'm serious.
Well, that does,
We're gonna be involved in all of it.
It would make sense, yes, it
Right.
actually makes sense.
yeah. And that there's no one can favoritism, accuse.
Okay,
That sounds good.
did you grab all that,
I did. Thank you.
Madam Commissioner?
Looks like we have
Do you
some
need a
good
motion
committees.
or anything, or is that just, we just set up committees, we don't have to do anything?
If you wanna make a motion to
I don't know
approve
if we
it,
have
what we
to.
just did, I don't care, it doesn't, I mean, it's in the minutes, it's,
Okay, I'm good.
so. All right, and then, we'll,
We'll be in touch with you guys.
yeah, So, yeah,
We'll
you're.
meet first, and she's gonna do a presentation, kind of with the guardrails of all the money, like sort of what she's doing now, to all of the committees once we populate them, so people know what they're actually doing before we start taking ideas.
Right, and wasn't, there was some thought process kicking around that at the first steering committee meeting, we would have all the subcommittees there. So it would be
Yeah, and she would do that.
a major committee meeting.
And that's the steering committee would be the central committee, same thing?
Yeah, yes, I'm calling it steering committee or central steering.
I just, that's cool if you call them the same thing. I just wanted to know. I want to make sure. I understand.
Sylvia?
Yes?
Good?
Yeah,
Mike?
fine.
Good? Good? You guys good?
Thanks for including me.
So then, all right. And then, so the 8th, then, you guys, at the end of the March 8th, then you guys will shoot us all the names, all the citizens that have
Give you all the applications.
the applications,
full
and then,
application.
we'll, you guys will pick, and I suppose you guys will meet before us, so then we'll,
Yeah, one way or the other, no matter when you meet, we
Yeah.
probably will.
so,
So we're hoping to make those appointments on the 15th.
you're gonna make those appointments on the 15th?
Yep.
So, you guys, we meet on the 22nd,
I suggest we go to the 15th.
I'm out of town on the 15th, so it doesn't mean anything. 29th is fine, I mean, well, we're meeting on the 22nd, but that's spring break, so I guess you guys wanna
Oh,
move our meeting?
29th?
Yes, Madam Auditor.
Dedicating a flagpole in Porter County at Sunset Hill, the 29th.
At 5:30?
Actually, yeah, it's at night.
We have a
Dark?
concern
Well, no,
about.
it shouldn't be dark yet. Well, it lights up too. This way people from the community can be there.
No, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just sounded a little late.
For what?
If you were to move your meeting up to the 15th, we're coming up against the deadline for advertising any additionals or reductions. The advertisement would need to be in on Thursday.
Mine.
So we would have to get the notice out to all the departments to
Department
get the your items in immediately.
I would say, Mike, are you out of town on the 22nd?
29th.
You are?
I don't think it's gonna matter if it's a week longer, at least for this.
29th. So when do you suspect that the committees will start meeting?
The timeline that the commissioners discussed today was to start in March.
Yeah, but, I mean, if we have to push it back a week, it's not the end of the world. We have all of April and all of May on our tentative schedule for the committee work to happen.
Well, that's discussion.
Yeah, discussing the March meeting, I mean, it's scheduled for the 22nd, fourth Tuesday.
Either one's good for me personally, whatever you guys want to do.
You guys see, Mike, you see anything to maneuver? 15th, I can't do that week.
Oh, you can?
No, to move it up, I would.
Are you guys suggesting moving it till 29th?
We are, he's got a conflict, and then I know they said the commissioners want to start meeting, so the sooner the better.
Sunset Hill.
Tell you what,
I want to go to that.
Make it the 15th?
We're trying
Oh, you're not.
we're trying
Not real.
to
Trying to
jam in
think.
a lot.
We don't have to do it on Tuesdays, do we?
Sounds like,
We can move it to a Wednesday or something, right?
absolutely, it could be any,
This Mondays suck. I'm really cranky on Mondays.
He's not on the radio show, who is he?
Jeremy, what would work out good with you? What do you think? Are you going on vacation, Mike? What is that?
Well, we don't get vacation. What the heck?
Yeah.
I'm here, just let me know.
I was just joking. I know. My kids want me to go out
Monday
of
the
town.
21st?
Sounds good.
I'm open the 21st. It's still the week of spring break, though, right?
It is the week of spring break.
But you're available.
But I'm available.
What about you?
I'm not sure right now.
He's going
Maybe.
to Puerto Rico.
Maybe I'll go somewhere else.
Somewhere warm.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure.
Hey, we're just figuring it out.
But I get, but again, if
We should have our
if
new
I'm not
member.
here,
Sylvia?
I'm always here, just make sure I get notified.
We'll have our new
I'm
member
here.
here.
We have animals.
Yeah, because I think it's March 5th, right? That the
The
caucus.
caucus, is it March 5th?
Yeah.
for Bob's spot.
So if you're good on the 21st, I've got no problem moving it to the 21st.
Yeah.
So we'll have a new member
So if
by
I,
then.
so if I can't make it, we still have another member that's gonna be here.
And we'll actually have a good time.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing cupcakes.
All right, you guys want to move it to the 21st?
Member on the committees.
What's that?
What about the new member in the committees?
Oh, he just, I don't know what happened. Good question. Good question.
Where did Mike go?
I only have one, so he's not having my spot, or he or she, I should say.
Well, we'll have to get with you and figure if we can have a third one on. I can't see why it was a big deal, yeah. We'll add him to, if he can pick two, jump on there, I apologize. So, I wasn't counting the votes or anything.
So right now, the next council meeting is when? 21st?
Sounds like 21st of March. And you think, is that pushing? I mean, I suppose we could have a special meeting on the 10th or something and make the appointments if it was necessary, just to make the appointments, and we could meet on the 21st again. I mean, if we needed to get together on the...
For what? What do we gotta make appointments?
So when is
The
the?
citizens' appointments for these
Oh, the
boards.
citizens,
So
yeah.
we're
Did you
stopping...
say the deadlines again for the public to,
March 8th, we may.
March 8th is for people wanting to
To apply. Yeah.
I mean, do you think that 2 weeks? Madam Chairperson
Yes.
of all these committees,
Yes.
would you want us to have a special meeting to appoint on the 10th and get things going?
are we gonna be able to go through
We're
the?
not appointing
Will you
until the
be-
15th.
You're not appointed to the 5th, but we're not meeting that meet.
I mean,
Want to wait till the 21st?
Do it.
yeah.
All right, we're going to wait till the 21st, we'll do everything on the 21st.
So our council meeting is
Our council
5:30.
meeting will be at 5:30 on March 21st.
Sounds good.
Settled.
Done deal.
So,
Good.
Phew. 5:30.
all right.
Yep.
So, anything else for Commissioner Blaney before we get into second reading?
I heard, the early voting needs a bigger room downstairs. I don't know if you were here for that. I'll just pass that on.
All right, so we have second reading, Madam Auditor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the annual budget, therefore be it resolved by the Porter County Council of Porter County, Indiana, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named and for the purposes specified, subject to the laws governing the same. General Fund, a total of $164,828. Foundation Holding Fund, a total of $1,338,660. Clerk Perpetuation Fund, $7,131. Clerk 4D, $3,566. Lit, $3,000. Reassessment, $3,566. E911, $105,000. Health Fund, $24,959. ARF, MOH, SVOG, $10,697. Plan Commission, $24,365. Stormwater and Development, $17,234. Cumulative Bridge, $27,930. Prosecutor Pretrial, $3,566. Surveyor Perpetuation, $3,566. Drug-Free Communities Funds, $130. Public Safety Data Tech Fund, $250,000. Sudden Infant Death Grant Fund, $9,600. Airport, $42,786. Recycling and Waste Reduction District, a total of $25,333. Indiana Dunes Tourism, $17,828. Westchester Public Library, $2,228,413. ARP COVID Fiscal Recovery, Premium Pay, $969,816. 25,000, 2.5 million, and 500,000. And that concludes second reading.
Thank you, Madam Auditor. Entertain a motion for second reading?
Approved.
Second.
Motion a second on the floor to approve second reading. Discussion. Roll call.
Okay, Councilmember Brickner. Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
Councilmember Sims.
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
And Councilmember Bozak.
Yep.
5-0.
Thank you. I know we got a presentation, I think Bruce still hanging around, but maybe before that, I know there's people here, I'll open the floor, to the public for any general discussion on, as we move into, the big phase of ARP with, now that we've appointed ourselves, we haven't appointed any, citizens yet. That finishes on the 8th, and we'll appoint the citizens on the 21st now. Like I said, there's $29 million of, federal ARP money out there with these 4 different boards, well, really 5. So, I'll open the floor for, general public, if anybody wants to speak. I know, again, I'll just say, I think these committees where the work should be done by organizations, businesses, the general public, to really put the input in now how we spend this money. So, but I'll definitely open the floor up right now if anybody would like. I would just ask that, state your name, your address, keep your comments to a couple minutes, and just respect everybody, It's just civil discourse. Yes, yes.
Yeah, Carol Nordstrom, 111 East Clearwater, Beverly Shores. The question I have is that once those citizens are appointed, are all of the committee meetings in each of these categories then open to the general public? So if somebody says, I don't want to serve on the committee, but I have a real strong interest in a particular field, they'll still be able to go and interact with the committee? Is that my understanding?
Yes, ma'am. Yep, that is correct.
Thank you.
They will meet, I suspect they'll meet right in here and have the general discussions, have organizations and people and businesses present to them and have general discussions, and the public input will continue on.
Yeah, my name is Robert Cotton, and Valparaiso City Councilman.
Excuse me, what?
Valparaiso, welcome to Valpo.
What city?
Valpo. I want to thank the commissioners and the county for engaging in a process that approaches the ideal that has been set forth as what reflects the best practice of inclusiveness and any number of other metrics. I do feel a little bit ill at ease being a city councilman in Valpo, speaking in your chamber, but I think I know you guys all up there.
Oh, we've got a Portage City Councilman too.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's going to talk about his process here.
But I know that it had been, by now I think we've all read the plan, and one of the things that they suggest is what makes this a good and efficacious process would be that I think the language says that you will know that you've been inclusive enough when you look around the table and you know you haven't missed anybody. So I think the 2 people from the public, that will participate on the various subcommittees, and I'm not certain if that does an adequate job of meeting that inclusive criteria, but again, I'm not trying to rewrite what you guys have done. I do also appreciate the consideration that you guys have given to this idea of conflict of interest, where stakeholders, people may be asking for something, not be participating directly on a committee. But that whole idea of conflict of interest also brings up a concern of mine as it relates to the footprint that Councilman Jessen has as a person who participates. Excuse me.
Asked to keep it.
It will be. Yeah, sure, it will be. No, I'm just bringing up a point about conflict of interest, where in as much as I say that the footprint here is great, and I wish Valpo was as respectful for a process as what will be governed by Councilman Jessen in the city. So I was thinking that, there could be the perception by the broader public, and including myself, that one or the other makes sense, but it's just too large of a footprint, and particularly when there is as disparate a set of circumstances by which we might say we are operating with a process. In the city of Valparaiso, it doesn't look anything like this. In fact, the two executives will control a lot of what comes up from a disparate series of silos without any committee structure, and I'm very troubled by that. A great number of people in the public are as well. So I think with regard to I think the onus might be on an individual himself, and particularly as it relates to the implied recognition that was made when you suggested that you would step down.
Councilman Cotton, I apologize, we're just getting off subject here a little bit. I mean,
it's process and it's conflict of interest, and that's not off subject, and again, please forgive me, but I think it's a very important matter because, again, this is federal money, where in fact federal money has a lot of characteristics that say you should include women, you should include the old, you should include blacks, you should include whites. I'm sorry, we have a problem with certain things like that, but this is not off point. And I'm going to suggest that with all due respect, and I admire and appreciate everybody up there, it's not about anybody in particular, it's about the process. And I would certainly hope that there would be some consideration given to that size of footprint in county and city government.
And I understand that you're fighting for this process here, and, I would just say that you as a council person in Valpo, fight for that process. You do approve those funds, correct? So you fight for that process. So, but, just like, I would hope Councilman Williams, who's from Portage, would fight for an open and fair process, too, for how they spend their dollars. So, is anybody else?
No, I'm gonna go up there. No, I'm going to go. You got 2 minutes, only 2 minutes.
We're good, Joy. We're good. So, you're all right,
I'm sorry,
All right, you're all right.
Never do that again to any member of the
Joy.
public. Joy, never.
Just,
That was very, very uncalled for.
Susie, I didn't see,
Okay, you didn't see it?
no, I didn't.
She blocked my way,
You're fine.
okay? I do not want that to happen again to any other
I think
citizen.
she was trying to hand you the
No,
microphone.
she said that I had to do it from there.
Okay, well, let's
That's
move
very
forward.
disrespectful.
You're here now,
I know,
so let's
but that was
move
very disrespectful. She obviously has an order to do that.
She does not have an order to block you.
Okay, well, I don't know then why she blocked me. Why did she block me? I have no idea. It was not appropriate, okay? Susie Talevsky, Porter County. I prefer not doing the address thing. So, real quick, I have a few comments, obviously. So I was at the commissioners' meeting this morning, and of course, I'm happy that there has been a change here in this process for the ARPA funds, because as you know, as one of the most vocal people here, along with many, many other activists that have been coming out to all these meetings since December, and in fact, I would say it's because of the activists, both on the left and the right and everybody in between, that we've had this positive change. Would you agree?
Yes, we've been listening.
Great,
Public
I
input.
appreciate that, I'm glad. And I just want to acknowledge all the citizens that have come out, because really it is very demonstrative that in the end, the power belongs to the people, and the people really need to pay attention to what's going on. One of the things that I did express some concern about is that there are only going to be 2 members of the public on each one of the subcommittees. And frankly, I do not think that that is enough. I did mention that in the commissioners' meeting. I'm going to mention it to all of you. I will try to mention it again in 2 weeks in the commissioners' meeting. In my view, we need more citizen participation. There'll probably be a lot of applicants. And I also would want to make sure that there, as Councilman Cotton pointed out, that there's a great diversity of, members of the public that can get on these committees, that we take into account, obviously, that there's a fair representation of women, half men, that there's also a fair representation of younger people, older people, senior citizens, of course, also fairness in racial representation, That is very important. I mean, if it's a bunch of older white men on each of these, committees, it's, that's going to be a problem, obviously. So that is something I really would like all of you to be very mindful of as you are selecting, not only to select people with knowledge, expertise, interest, but also make sure that there is a wide diversity of representation just from the public and also from various parts of the county. We would like to make sure we've got people from the southern part of the county, Heber and Couts, all the way to the northern part of the county, and then again, it's not simply Valpo or Portage-centric, which, as I've mentioned before, tends to be the case a lot of the times in county government here in Porter County. So please, think about that. I would ask all of you to think about that and see if we can at least double it, maybe from 2 citizens to 4. I don't think it's much of a request. I mean, I personally would like to see, of course, 10 citizens, but I won't ask for too much. But I just would like that to be reconsidered. I still think there's time, okay, for that, so that this can really be a fair process. I think that if, you open it up to more citizens, you're going to get way more information and input on what's going on out on the ground, out in the field, in our society, how people have been impacted by the coronavirus. This is, again, coronavirus, COVID, pandemic, relief, recovery. And I would hope that most of the money does go to people or businesses, nonprofits, that are either have suffered from the pandemic or addressing the pandemic. That's very, very important. I would not like to see infrastructure, and that's one thing I do second this comment by Councilman Cotton, that Councilman Jessen does have an outsized influence in this county. He is the city manager of Valparaiso, and I actually have here from the announcement from January 6, 2020, from actually the mayor of Valparaiso when he announced that Councilman Jessen was going to be appointed as the city manager, which I think was a great choice because he's very competent and capable. But one thing it says here, it says Jessen will not seek re-election on the council. And I'm just wondering, why are you seeking re-election?
That's not really right.
No, but it goes to the concentration of power, okay, in this county. And it also goes to the fact that originally, if you go back, the original allocations that did not include any public input, okay, Councilman Jessen, basically put his community as one of the main recipients. And I think that if that had been open to the public, that would have come out, because that is a conflict, actually. These are federal funds, very different. I think anything with stormwater drainage, those issues have to be addressed because it's important to everybody, but it should come out of the stormwater, infrastructure here, user's fee, from the county, basically, the county level, not from COVID-19 recovery funds. This has been a pandemic. This has been a big tragedy. Many people have lost their lives. There's many people actually suffering from long COVID. So I am hoping that, I hope you think about this, Councilman Jessen. It is important to consider, when you say something that you're not going to run for a re-election, and then you do, I think that it's fair for the citizens to demand an explanation as to why there was the change of heart, what is behind that, because it does give you an awful lot of power in this county. And I think it's fair to address that.
Can you wrap it up?
I am going to try to, I know, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, but yeah, it's a little uncomfortable, let's face it.
No, it's really not. Actually, his seat's up for election. Somebody should run against him if they don't like, that.
Well, it's very hard for another Republican to run against someone who's an incumbent Republican. That's what I'm saying, and that is a very, very Republican district.
I'm a Democrat, have somebody running against me, so it's not, it happens.
Right, I know it does happen. That's true. It does happen. So, there are some interested races, obviously, coming up here, and we are going to have another member of this council. So, I think it would have been fair to kind of wait another week or two. When was it? 2 more weeks?
He'll get to jump.
So
right
whoever,
in, for sure.
Well, let's hope it's a she.
Yes.
Councilman Rivas, come on! I want to see more women up here, not just Councilwoman Graham. I'd like to see it all women. Okay, but we'll maybe have to wait a little longer for that.
Susie, thank you for your
So
comment.
anyways, I just remember this, I want to again acknowledge Commissioner Biggs, who wrote the article, who informed everybody about the
President Rivas,
fact,
we gotta move on.
you know,
We're good.
this and also, hold on.
We have to.
I
You've
just
been
want.
talking for 6 minutes now.
It's
We've said
okay.
2 minutes. We've gotta move the meeting along. We've got other people that wanna speak. that
I'm
way.
sure there's many other people that will
Many
have
people that wanna
time.
speak
It's
as well.
okay, it's okay. I just want to acknowledge,
If not, we'd like you to wrap it
okay, let me wrap it up. Whoop. Okay, let me wrap it up. The citizens get priority here, right? I sat through your meeting here, so I think the
We're
citizens.
allowing you to speak.
Thank
This is
you
part
for
of the
allowing me
meeting,
to
and we
speak.
set a
I
time limit.
appreciate
Now
it.
we're asking that you follow
Okay,
that.
but let me wrap it up. We just wasted all this time, and I'm just trying to wrap it up. I just want to again,
No,
I'm sorry?
Wrap it up.
I just want to say again that this was really a citizen-motivated effort, and to just please get more citizens on these subcommittees. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie.
Karen Taylor, 306 Napoleon Street. There has been a lot said about what this act included. And this act was designed to provide COVID relief for people, for organizations and businesses that had suffered from COVID. It was also designed to put people back to work. Part of the intent was to get projects that would put people back to work that were not allowed to work during COVID. In addition, there was a specific section added that doesn't address COVID, but it does address putting people to work, and that is the infrastructure part. It seems like a lot of people want to tear that part out of the act and say it don't belong. Fortunately, Congress disagrees with you. Congress and the Democrat Congress and the Democrat Senate put that in there because they care about clean water and broadband and infrastructure. They want people back to work that lost jobs and are out of work because of COVID. Again, it's a relief program. It's not a restructuring program. So those are why that is part and parcel of this legislation. But most of the people want to tear that part out, and I think that's a big mistake. The other issue that's been brought up is the conflict of interest. That was addressed by the Indiana State Legislature about 5 or 6 years ago. There was at the time several members of police departments, fire departments, highway departments that served on the councils for the cities and towns and counties that they were in. So the state law was changed. It said at that time, you may not serve on a council or a county off any council or any body that appropriated money for that you also were an employee of. At that point, you had employees that were firemen in the city of Valparaiso and policemen that were in the city of Valparaiso, the same thing employees that served on the city councils. Those people were no longer allowed to do that. But what they did say is you can serve and work for a city and be on the county council. You can work in the county, be an employee of the county and serve on the city board. And that has occurred ever since that legislation was passed. So to say that one person works for the city and should not be allowed on the county council is a violation of state law. Get your laws straight. That is a violation of state law to say that Mr. Jessen cannot work for the city and cannot serve on the city council. That was a violation of state law to say that Karen Conover, who worked for the city of Valparaiso, could not serve on the county council. It was correct that Art Elwood, who was a city fireman, could not serve on the city council in Valparaiso, and he no longer did. So therefore, you need to take that into consideration.
Thank you.
Hi, Christian Anderson, 1609 Baker Road.
Flint Lake, Valparaiso, Indiana. First of all, I'd like to thank the board for being as open as they are, for allowing all this discussion. And one of my great desires is that when these committees are appointed, they will look at areas where there are lower income people who have major drainage and problems with sewers which are polluting the waterways and the lakes here in Porter County, which is one of our beautiful assets. I hope that that will be taken under consideration, and once again, I'd like to thank the board and the auditor for having the reference section about this entire program. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to, my name is Walt Bridinger, I'd like to second what Mr. Anderson just emphasized, and I'd like to point out a detail as we look at the lists of the general categories. We keep hearing this word infrastructure, and I think a lot of folks assume that means roads or bridges, that type of infrastructure, but when you look under the category in the final rule of infrastructure, the number one item or the number one resource is water resources, emphasizing that we need to protect our water resources. I know there aren't a lot of young people here tonight, but I'm here to remind everybody that if you have children or grandchildren, or if you care about the younger folks, they're going to be facing some major problems in the coming months and years. And protecting our water resources is the number one category under that section of infrastructure. And as Mr. Christian Anderson pointed out, we have some pockets of folks in Porter County that some of you may not be aware of, and it's not just where Shorewood needs some work on their stormwater management. We have some neighborhoods that Christian has mentioned, and some of them are north of town. Some of the poorest neighborhoods, the least served people in the community are in the area of the Valparaiso chain of lakes and the area of Long Lake, Flint Lake. Some of those folks are living in little cottages that were built back in the 1920s and have no sewers, have a very poorly functioning septic systems, if at all, and those people need help as well as the folks in Shorewood. I just want to point that out. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Walt.
Kerry Brown, you got my address earlier, 203 Harrison. Yeah, I'm going to have to go to two committees, because I'm looking at green infrastructure, our group, and a 501c3, all right? Because we're dealing with water in another way, green infrastructure. It's mentioned specifically in the middle and around the 260s, 290s in your 400 pages, and I thank the auditor's office for helping me find that much quicker than reading 400 stinking pages. But the government is verbose. They always are in the way they write things. But this is clearer than a lot of other things have ever been. Let me give you something real easy that somebody told me a long time ago. Do you live to build something, and that helps you say, I built that, and when I'm gone, people will remember, and it will last? Or do you build things to help the quality of life so people can live? Do you live to build or build to live? And that should be a criteria for everything in all these committees. I agree with her, as much as she's shouting at you. You need more than 2 people, citizens on every committee. Maybe some PTO groups. Oh, boy, do they have ideas. Okay? If you contact every PTO group and say, I know we got 6 or 8 of them per community in Portage and Valpo and Chesterton, my God. Hey, give me 3 out of that, okay? I think you'll get a smattering. I used to do home sales. You really want to talk about how the American family lives, do home sales for 10 years. You're competing with the dog, the cat, the cousins, the kids, the neighbors, all sorts of things they tell you about stuff just because you're sitting there and they mouth off about every subject imaginable but while you're there. And you have to listen to all of that and get down and understand them in a very short amount of time. Somehow you have to do that in these committees. God bless you. You got a tough job to do that. But green infrastructure affects everybody. If people this year, in the 2 years of the pandemic, who've had more time to work at home, more than they ever dreamed possible. They know about climate change. Thank God we're not out west, but Indiana farmers are getting a drought. Thank God we aren't Texas. They had sleet and snow last week in the middle of a drought. We're having larger rains every year. Thank the Lord that it stopped just in time, and Labowitz, who was here from the Dunes National Park, they had just enough time in that opening to get riprap and rocks to save a portion of Beverly Shores. Yet they still had to have $5 million on their own. That would have been on your list, wouldn't it? They did it on their own. We've got to find all those green infrastructure things from every community, not just up at the lake, not just down in the outer reaches of Porter County, because development is everywhere. Everywhere. Unincorporated Porter County is boom time. I grant you, there's green infrastructure hidden. I don't know how you're going to pull that out. Ours will be just one, okay, of an area that we already have invested primarily. So, and we're going to have it for the public. So don't just live to build so your quality of life is better. Thank you. And I appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, I appreciate it, appreciate everybody, and sometimes it gets a little heated, but that's okay, it really is. All right, we're going to move into Porter County Council on Aging presentation, Executive Bruce Lindner. Sylvia sits on that board and asked, that Bruce give us a quick just presentation. I know we've been here for a little while, what's going on with the services. I think most notably is, possibly or is a reduction of hours for transportation services. So you guys kind of.
How you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Thank you. Good.
Thanks
I brought my attorney along just in case.
Thanks for.
Jeremy?
Thanks for sitting through all that.
Yeah, if I may, I'd just like to
Yes,
say
please.
that there was been a decision for a change of going to 4 days a week, 40 hours in the week, but from 5 days a week. And I felt that it was a significant enough change that I asked them to please come and present that change to you.
Appreciate that, Sylvia. Appreciate you guys coming and letting us know.
Councilmember Rivas, if I can just start off, I'm Ethan Lowe. I'm the president of the Board of Directors of Porter County Aging and Community Services. We also have several other board members that are here with us this evening. I'll kind of lead things off. Bruce, obviously, as our executive director, can add in some of the finer details here. We are, as Sylvia said, lucky enough to have her on our Board of Directors for the last several years. First off, I want to start off, I don't know that I've appeared before this body as it relates to Porter County Aging before, so I apologize for that. I know Bruce appears before you as part of your budgetary hearings on an annual basis. We have been so fortunate as to over the last 6 years, the county has awarded us $450,000 each year, which goes to our transportation services. I know I'm in between you guys in a motion to adjourn here, but for those that aren't familiar with our organization, I'll just give you guys a little bit of background.
Don, you gotta finish up here.
Is the 2-minute rule in effect?
No.
You're in trouble now.
So we provide a host of services, primarily, and they're countywide. Primarily, though, it is the disabled and elderly community members that are our clients. A big part of what we do is transportation, and it's not your typical transportation. It's demand response transportation, which means we will actually go to the individual's home. Our drivers get off the bus, assist them getting on the bus, drive them to their destination, get them off the bus, and then repeat that as it comes back to them, which differs from fixed route, which is kind of like the V-line that just goes basically in a loop, and you have to go to a stop there. So that's a long way of starting off. I mean, and I'm sure that there are other nonprofits out there, specifically those in the transportation area, that have been significantly impacted by what's going on with the labor market right now. From 2018 to now, so pre-COVID to now, I mean, we've seen a significant reduction in our ability to be able to attract drivers. This isn't exactly an apples-to-apples comparison, but throughout the course of 2018, so this is the full 12 months, we had 15 drivers that worked for us. As we stand right now, we have 6 drivers, of which, it's not even a full 6. I believe 1 is a trainee and 1's on medical leave. So we have had a real significant issue in terms of attracting and keeping talent. We've tried to address that. We've increased the wages for our drivers. We used to pay our drivers back in 2018, being the baseline, about $12.50. We've increased that now up to $16 an hour. Unfortunately, that has not helped us be able to attract drivers.
Are these licensed, like CDL drivers,
Not
limo
required.
license?
Not required for the type of vehicles.
Passenger for
we
hire,
drive.
just to step up above the regular license. So all the buses are less than 14 passengers, so that's all that's required.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine, absolutely. If there's other questions, feel free to ask them. So, as a result of that, we've had some significant issues with trying to maintain our level of service. We used to be able to provide service 5 days a week when we had that significant number of drivers. As we've seen those number of drivers dwindle, it's impacted our ability to provide service. So, what we have done is, as Sylvia indicated, because of the market that we're dealing with here and the financial crunch that we're under, I mean, our annual budget is less than $1 million, so we're a relatively small nonprofit. Bumping up wages for our drivers from $12 to $16 an hour is significant for us, especially if you have to couple in overtime. So in taking that into account, as a board, we decided to shift to just providing transportation services. We provide our other services on Friday, but just transportation Monday through Thursday. And kind of the rationale as to why we did that is, as I indicated, we have 2 different types of clientele, typically the disabled or the elderly. We have 29 dialysis patients that are in need of getting to their appointments on Monday and Wednesday, so we've expanded our hours on Monday and Wednesday to be able to accommodate all 29 of those patients. We also felt that it was important on Tuesdays and Thursdays to have some availability for instance, the individual that can no longer drive or whatever the circumstances may be and just needs to go to the grocery store once a week. So we've tried to, as best we can, given our staffing and labor issues, to accommodate both of those. So that's prompted some pretty live discussion amongst our board. As I indicated, there are several here. We still have buses on the road 40 hours per week, so that has not changed. It's just that we're operating Monday through Thursday. So we wanted to, obviously, you guys are a significant financial partner of ours, specifically to our transportation side, so that was what kind of prompted some of the discussion that perhaps was time for us to come and report to you guys as to what's going on with us at this point. So with that groundwork being laid, if Bruce, you have anything else, or I'll open it up for council members.
First off, I'd like to thank you, because about 8 years ago, I think there was a significant increase in the funding from the council and the commissioners to make our organization work. As you know, transportation is not anything that people pay for. The government pays for that to make it work. And it was originally at $325 one year, and then it went to $375, and you jumped it up to $450, and it's been at $450 for, I think, the last 6 years for transportation. What I'd like to do is give you, and the term that Sylvia used is correct. It's a reduction in service, and I'd like you to take a look at the last, well, I've got 18 to 22 here, and you'll be able to see that in 18, we had almost 24,000, we did have 24,000 rides. In 19, we had almost 25,000 rides. That's column number 2. In 20, we were impacted a little bit in the middle there when we shut down for 2.5 months. So we did 12,200, and in 21, we're at 15,256. If you go to the column all the way to the right, that's the total number of drivers that we had on our staff during that year. And you'll see in 18 there were 15 drivers, then there was 14, and then there was 15, and then there was 14. Those were the number of W-2s that were given out. They weren't all on staff at any one time, but we may have had 9 or 10 or 11 drivers. And if you go to the column just to the left of that, you'll see that we averaged in 18 7.5 buses on the road every day, Monday through Friday. In 19, it was 7.7. Well, then in 20, it dropped to 6.2, and 21 is 5.8. And then in January, I'm now sitting there with 4 drivers that are skilled and passed and have been working with me for a while that are doing 40 hours a week.
3 of them don't want overtime. One of them is a little older, and he still can handle it, and he wants as much as he can get. And then I've got one that only wants to do 32 hours. So with those 6 drivers, there's no way we can do a long shift for dialysis, because we drop dialysis patients off on Monday and Wednesday at 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning, and we're out picking them up. There's been 4 shift changes to handle those 29 dialysis people, and we're picking them up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock at night. So those are 12 and a half, 13-hour days. And as Ethan alluded to, the other 2 days, Tuesday and Thursdays, are shorter days. So that's where the 40 hours comes in. When you put more buses out on the road, when somebody has a problem, there's another bus that's relatively close by that can pick up and help when there's a problem. If you spread it out thin and go 5 days a week, where you've got 3 buses on one day and 5 buses on another day, and you spread it across the county, you literally have got no help. If you get a dialysis patient that's bleeding and you got to wait, before you can take them, to pick them up. So when you get less buses out there, it's easier for the service to even be thinner than it is when you've got 7, 8 buses out there on the road. So what I'd like you to do, if I had my choice, I'd like you to give me 2 drivers. Give me 2 skilled drivers, and I would be back up probably to the neighborhood of 24,000 rides. Now, any of you guys capable?
I'm
looking at
Revis. Sylvia?
Okay.
Can you drive?
No, I don't want any more women driver. I've already got 4 of them out there. No.
Look at you.
When Bruce is done, I would like to say a few things.
Anyway, I'm trying to address the reason why, when somebody says, why is Porter County doing so poorly, because we're not serving, is in June, I've taken 2 applications. One gentleman couldn't pass the driving test. He was too old and wasn't seeing very well, so we couldn't take him on. I now have one lady that's coming on, but now she says, I only want to do it part-time 2 days a week, and now after she's figured out she has to push the wheelchairs, she says, I got COPD. This is really how tougher than I thought. So I think I'm going to lose her, and I'm going to be back to 5 drivers. So I'm serious. Without drivers, we cannot produce more trips. Any one of you guys want me to tell the drivers they've got to drive 60 hours a week?
So Bruce,
do you guys want to face that? Nobody wants to face that. It's 40 hours and a few hours overtime. I'm at $16 right now.
16, and we can't
Just so we're clear here, there is no request that we are making to the council right now. We are mindful of the stresses that you guys are under there. Absolutely, we understand your budgetary process. We are very thankful for the $450,000 that you give us that allow to provide these transportation services. We're not asking for more money in front of you. We're reporting to our activities.
Yes.
I certainly understand that there are some recovery funds that may be out there that may be available to a nonprofit like us. We'll investigate that. We're not asking you for money. We're not asking you for drivers this evening.
we
are
asked you
simply
here.
reporting
On
our status, just so everyone's clear.
So
'cause
Bruce,
I didn't want that
I just want you to know that you made transportation happen for seniors and disability population. And I feel like we're not getting the job done when I'm doing 12,000 rides instead of 25,000 rides, okay? That's what bothers me. I've got empty buses sitting in the bus barn over there that are ready to go if I could get more qualified drivers.
So maybe I missed, from the 14 to the 6th, how did we lose 8? And I understand you said they weren't all in and out, but it was 15, 14, 15, 14, and then 6.
One of them's at Valpo High.
Wait,
Oh,
Bruce,
I'm
you've
sorry.
got to explain this so that they understand it. The
Okay.
6 is only through the month of January in 2022. Those are the drivers that we have on the payroll thus far this year. All of those prior years, 21, 20, 19, 18, that's 12 months, Jeremy. So that's why there's the difference there. I mean, certainly, we would like to have more than the 6, but you understand that, like, the 15 is through the whole 12 months.
And that includes
So we're going to have turnover in our drivers in any given year. That accounts for that in part, but we are still absolutely experiencing a staffing
How many
shortage
drivers?
right now.
Generally, we felt comfortable when we had 9 or 10 drivers on staff.
Okay, Bruce, I'm sorry. Sylvia, please.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys coming before, and I understand totally what you're going through, and obviously, this our coronavirus has presented a lot of this. However, you moved your drivers and your buses from your place on your street, is it County Man or wherever they put them, and you moved them over to the Valparaiso Bus Barn.
Right.
So now you're joined with a V-Line.
No.
Well, whatever.
The V-Line's got one bus barn and we've got one bus
Oh, so
barn.
you're
We're totally
separate.
independent, yeah.
Okay, so they don't in any way mix with each other?
No.
They don't?
They
However,
are totally off on their own. They're too
My
pretty.
understanding, from what I heard in the meeting, that V-Line pays 50 or 75, whatever it is, $1 more than what we pay, the Porter County agent. And I did suggest that maybe we should pay more, or at least equal to what they pay, to maybe get some more drivers. Because if I remember correctly, some of our drivers did quit and go over to the V-Line to work because they got more money.
We have lost a couple to the V-Line. We've lost a couple, went back to Chesterton School Corporation. Schools are always advertising for drivers, and
But
they're
they
at
do
24 and they
require
throw
the-
insurance. I can't compete with
Right,
that.
but the schools require the higher license.
Yeah, well, you're driving the bigger bus, yeah.
Well, I understand that,
Yeah.
but my only concern is that my suggestion was to maybe pay at least what the V-Line pays, so you're not losing your bus drivers to the V-Line. Because I know you did say you did lose at least 2. That was my concern.
I'm not sure that demand response is comparable to the V-Line, because the V-Line, they do a route.
Yeah, it's continuous.
And we're on and off the bus, so there's a different skill set. But you're right, a lot of people have left for money, okay?
And my other concern is that we are going to be cutting, even though it's 40-hour week, we'll be cutting a day from the Porter County residents, elderly, whatever. And in fact, 5 of your dialysis patients were on Friday, but apparently they were accommodated.
No, 29 of
another day?
29 of our patients are on Friday. 29 are on Monday,
Oh, how
29
many?
are on Wednesday, and 29 are on Friday.
And they rode the buses.
Yeah,
So what happens to the Friday riders now?
as it was when we had the pandemic and we had to shut down, they all had backup plans. We had 33 clients at that time. They all had backup plans except for 2, and they were able to accommodate the transportation. By going and giving Friday off, if we would have stayed with Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we literally would have given all of our drivers that time period, in those 3 days, 40 hours of work week. Then we would have had absolutely nothing for Tuesday and Thursday, so then we would have been blank on Tuesday and Thursday, and none of the other people in Porter County would have had rides.
Because you're low on your drivers.
Because I'm low on drivers,
Okay.
and I refuse to force the people to work overtime, because I don't think it's healthy for them, because most of my people are over 55. I don't think it's safe.
So you pay 16.
I pay 16. I made up a chart just to show you, if you want to pass that out, it's your option, but I'm still not here asking for money. What I'm telling you is this is what it would take to pay 17 or 18 or 19 or 20, okay? You can pick. It tells you exactly what it would cost, okay? But you got to remember, this is not a one-year fix. It's a commitment, because they're going to get paid that year after year. So either transportation is something that you want to continue to take the ownership of, then you're going to have to wrestle with that question. Because we're not a traditional not-for-profit organization. We're a transportation organization, and we run some emergency assistance and some energy assistance and some Section 8 housing. We get money from NWICA to handle, some of those contracts. But
we're like half your budget, so you kind of are a transportation company, right?
What?
We're like half your budget, like the 450,000?
You're more than half of our budget.
So, when you looked at this, you looked at you've got plenty of data, right? So you looked at your your need. You're on demand, so I'm sure you looked at when your calls were coming in, when your need was, hours a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
No, we know who needs a ride and when.
And when. So, I mean, you couldn't, and I'm sure you did then look to see if, I mean, you could have changed your windows of transportation during the day.
All the same copy?
You know, instead of 8, maybe it was 6 on Monday, maybe it was 10 on Tuesday, maybe it was 4 on Wednesday.
So well on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because that is a continuous trip where the people are in getting their blood transfused for 4 hours, then moved on. So it's not, you know, if somebody can't get out at that time, they can wait and they can pick the next bus coming by and then they get taken care of. But what I'm saying is there, as Sylvia mentioned, $20, just to show you what it looks like, the bottom right corner, your commitment would have to be, what, $147,000? Okay, I'm just giving you that idea. I'm not asking for that, okay? You have to decide if we should get referred to ARP and say, well, you need to be in the ARP program and you need to get the funds there. I think that's what Ethan and I were talking about. Was that part of that or not? No?
Because ARP money ARP's not gonna be there year after
Oh,
year, so
okay.
you can't fund
All right.
a wage off.
We haven't made enough of a decision to even discuss that. Obviously, you guys are just putting in place the committee structure. Certainly, if we could provide transportation services to every individual that needed it, and muddy were not an issue, we would do that, and we would be happy to do that. But given the circumstances we're faced with, we had to make these changes, and these were not easily made changes. I mean, to your question about the dialysis patients, I mean, this is the reality we were faced with. We have 29 people that were counting on us Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So then the question is, do we just serve a fraction of that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then force people to have to get different transportation every one of those days? Or do we look at it and say, listen, we can service you on at least Mondays and Wednesdays. We understand that Friday is going to be the hardship, but we can accommodate all 29 of you on those 2 days, so they're taken care of, so you only have 1 day. And then we can still provide service on Thursdays and Tuesdays. And that, I mean, this is the decision we've made. It's not set in stone. I mean, I don't know that it's going to change anytime in the near future, but this is where we're at right now in terms of, you know, trying to operate within our budget and meet, you know, basically getting that demand to comply with, you know, our need to serve our ridership here.
Right now, we are capable of having a balanced budget with the amount of money that you've given us, the number of drivers that we have got, provided gasoline doesn't go through the roof. We're going to be in good shape at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But I just give you those numbers just to give you a perspective, because
Then what if you
I'm not asking for that, okay? I'm just telling you, I don't like the number that we're providing, okay, of rides that we're providing, and we can't do better than that. Now, we can spread it out. We can have 3 buses on Monday and 3 on Friday and 3 on Thursday and Friday and have 5 days covered. But that means the dialysis patients at the top are not going to get picked up because we can't run the drivers, 50 hours. You can spread it out over 5 days, but you can't.
Have you ever went to some people and say, hey, can you just work 1 day a week? Like, find somebody or a couple people that just want to work a Friday. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that just want a part-time job.
You don't know how much I have negotiated with people. Okay. Beg them. 1 day, come on, you volunteer, why don't you just take it 1 day a week? I'll pay you $18, $17 to come in. No takers.
Still no.
I can't get any takers.
Okay.
What if, you said that you couldn't handle 6 drivers with this budget? What if all of a sudden God looked upon you and gave you 4 more drivers? If you had 10, how could you pay for them then?
I guess God would have to send the money, because I don't have it.
Well, that's what's bothering me.
What?
What's bothering me is, even if you did have all of a sudden people available to ride, that you don't have the money to.
We have plenty of riders. I mean, we probably have 400
drive.
people on our list.
To drive.
Yeah, we don't have the people to drive.
When did you change the amount you're paying to 16?
Probably 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Yeah,
you went
a couple of months.
16?
Yeah.
How long were you paying 12?
Well, I had been creeping that up. It went from 12.50 to 13 to 14, and I was jumping that up incrementally, just along the way, seeing that word would get out that we're up to 14 or up to 15, and there were no takers.
Well, you guys sat through the meeting. I mean, it's your organization, there's $29 million, it's absolutely has to be spent by a date, though it's not in perpetuity, it's not forever, this money, this $29 million. But I just, when Sylvia told me about cutting services, you know, these are people that rely on your organization to do these services.
Well, just remember this, if one of my drivers gets sick or is off, I lose 20% of my workforce. We can't send anybody out there that doesn't have certificate to drive, okay?
Do you
So
ever
we're on that thin a piece of ice right now.
But do you ever drive if you needed to?
What?
Do you step in and drive if
No.
No?
I can drive the bus when it's empty from my office over to the bus barn if I have to, or up to Dave's for treatment on it, but I ain't picking anybody up without a passenger for hire license. I mean, I could get that.
Oh, you don't
So
have
you
one?
do have a higher license?
No, I don't have a
No,
license for
not
hire
you, I
license.
meant your driver's.
I got a driver's license, yes, yeah.
No, she's
But I mean,
asking,
without
yes,
me
you
at
do.
the executive chair,
So you
the
do
place
have
would
to
fall
have one.
apart.
No, Bruce, I'm not asking you to
No,
drive the bus.
there's a higher level between a regular driver's license and a there's a higher for license, it's higher.
what you
yes.
asked.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
before you get to the CDL or
That's
whatever.
CDL
Right.
hard.
Right,
Right.
driver for hire.
I was just saying that,
All right.
okay, go ahead.
No, keep saying, no, please.
Well, I just hate to see the service change from what it was. But I do know from county, some of our departments went from five days a week to 4 to actually save money and to work better, to spread I thought I heard that from Bob Poprod, bless his heart, but anyway, I thought that was one of the reasons that a lot of departments went to 4 days a week, because they could spread out their workers better. And I just feel as if this service is so vital to the people of Porter County that's why I'm fighting for it.
Well, I'm glad you've been in our court, I mean, for the last 6 years. I mean, when I came here, it was always, we
been there
we
for
had
14.
plenty of staff, the money came in, we were able to produce the ride. So all I'm doing right now is I'm just saying, here's where we're at, and I'm not getting many options, to hire somebody,
Well,
so.
hopefully with 2 reporters here tonight, that you're going to get some good publicity to where we need drivers, that maybe you're gonna pay 17.
Well,
You can't pound out another dollar out of it.
all I'm saying is that if somebody comes in and they want a job right now, I'm at book with the number of riders that I've got. I think I've got about a $30,000 surplus in there to hire a driver, but it'll be tight, you know.
That's your carryover right now, just
Right.
30,000?
Yeah.
From,
My budget looks like that, and that's right now with a little bit of surplus on the gas. I'm at 10,000 over on what I think I'm gonna need on gas, but how in the heck can you figure out what you're gonna need on gas? The gas could be dramatically different next week.
The whole world could be.
this is obviously for, move forward, I'm just gonna throw a scenario out there. What if they came in front of one of the ARPA committees and asked for, let's just say, $250,000 to make sure they cut 0 services? But that 250, I mean, because there's a deadline where that money has to be spent.
The 26th.
Of what, 2025, I think, or,
All the funds have to be obligated by the end of 2024, and that means contracted or invoiced or another obligation to spend. Then all funds must be spent by the end of 2026.
But this would be a recurring cost every year.
that's correct. But, all right. So, all right.
Sylvia, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for
Bruce,
listening.
I hope you continue to,
I mean,
let
I've
the
always felt
service-
that this program happened because you guys took ownership of it, of making it happen 6-8 years ago. And,
Well, I see a couple guys in front of me that are gonna roll their sleeves up and do whatever they can to make sure
Absolutely.
that we can't, we don't cut services and we can, even if it happened, it's gonna happen for a very temporary
Hey.
time, so.
if you save it for a year, save it for 2 years, we just deal with it, going down the road.
Once you start
it's
something, it's hard to go
not
back.
about money, it's about getting somebody who wants to work. for that money, you know, I mean, and that's the scary thing right now.
Finding people's hard, yeah.
Thank you.
If you got any other questions, on any of the numbers there, just give me a
Yeah.
call, I can try to produce those for you. Thank you again.
Pay attention to the website, they're gonna, the committees will have dates where they're open for proposals.
I will be glad to make a proposal if I get information.
I'm just, yeah.
All right?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you
Nice
very
to meet
much.
you.
Thank you very much, guys, for coming in.
Thank you, yes, thank you.
And for any other, board members that came and attended tonight, thank you very much for
Yes.
coming out.
Thank you. All right. What else? We got like 5 other items, I think, on the agenda.
Thank you, Bruce.
See, there's another page or two. No?
Attorney report.
Attorney report. Harold, I did speak to Harold. He is still recovering. You guys are all aware of what happened. So, slipped and fell.
You're not supposed to announce it.
So, well, I announced it at the last, I think. All right, yeah, he slipped and fell.
Amy, don't print that.
Not on county property, not on county property. But, all right, I think that's it. I think we have anything yet, please.
Quick question. Tonight you approved the stipends and the premium pay, and I just wanted to let you know that our office will be prepared to pay it out with the next payroll, which is next week.
Excellent.
Next week, that was the
Next
purpose,
week.
right? So it's going out next week.
Put
Next
the money
week.
in their pockets, do it.
Yeah, we have everything set up, and I want to thank all of you. I know that the packet of information we sent you in late January was pretty voluminous. It was a large packet of information, because this was a big project. We were dealing with different departments, different amounts, different funds, and I thank you for spending all the time looking through that, asking questions. You came and asked questions, and we had questions of our own, and it was a big project. It would have been a lot easier to just say everyone gets like a 2% raise and do it at budget time, but we're going to make it work, and it's going out next week. Oh, if we don't have another.
In one lump sum, right? One
No.
lump sum check?
One lump sum, yes.
Nope,
If there's no more blizzards and no more snow days, okay.
Don't be jinxing us.
we understand and appreciate the work you put in,
No more snow days.
you know, and we work with you. So, thank you. Any other business that may properly come before the council?
Motion to dispense.
Thank you guys for hanging out with me.
Motion to adjourn?
First motion to
Second.
adjourn.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4.